A tropical. These three plants are identical to the ones shown at the exhibition. I shall.
좀 빌려갈게요. 나갑시다. 다 놀러왔지? B. 수상쩍은 성분. 어? 아, 이거라. 지금. 안돼. 이거 아니라고. 도둑. 이거지. 갑시다. 실험 진행하러.
Perfect, Watson. We can begin our experiment.
야, 이거 생각보다 기네. 실험.
I imagine that one of these plants would be capable of releasing a toxic vapor. I need to find out exactly how it could be done. I shall begin now. Watson, if you are at all optimistic to have dinner this evening, then I'd recommend that you put on the gas mask.
저녁 먹고 싶으면은 방금 몇 살에?
A carnivorous,
좀.
a prickly plant. This is a strange and unusual plant.
벌레. 바꿔. 이거 바꿔.
This plant seems to have had.
이게 아니라고. 반대편을 가야 되나? 왜 안 나오지?
This plant seems to have had. This plant.
야, 이거 내가 어떻게 풀었더라? 왜 안 되지? 여기 원래 이게 튀어나와야 되는데. 아, 이거. 그래, 맞다. 이거 보고 와야지, 바보야.
It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid.
그래. 이거다.
Toxic gas with spores. Extraordinary.
야, 잠깐만.
The plants would be
개도
capable of
있는데.
killing only if they were directly next to the victim and stimulated at precisely the right moment.
Let us take our caterpillars to the Colonial Collection Room. We may see things more clearly there.
It is too early, Watson. Our suspects will be there. Let us investigate Kew Gardens one more time and ask some questions.
야, 개도 있는데 이런 식으로 했어. 야, 그래. 이거야. 아직 안 맞춰지네. 이건 아니야. 그럼 이제 힘하고 재현하면 되나?
Can you tell me if you saw Mr. Montague Dunn on the day of his death?
Yes, of course. I met him, and we went to see Albert, his son, at around 9:30. He appeared quite calm.
9시 반.
What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30, for I was late that morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
알버트.
Your father's death does seem highly suspicious. What were your movements here on that day?
Suspicious? Well, I was working in the seed house, taking care of Lysa something, or
머시기, 거시기.
Pontus, or... No, wait. Ah, these Latin names. And I spent so many hours trying to memorize them.
Did you see your father that day?
Yes, he came here with Mr. Hamish for his weekly visit. There was nothing unusual about that.
And then?
Nothing. They stepped out to the backyard. It was perhaps 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Then about 10 minutes later, I saw my father heading for the dry tropics room while Mr. Hamish returned here.
다른 사람들 행동.
And Mr. Hamish and Miss White, what were they both doing that morning?
Mr. Hamish visited me a couple of times. I also saw him returning from talking with Miss White, and that was at 10 minutes past 10. But then he ran back here to me to tell me that my father was feeling unwell. We hurried across to the water lily room, and I found my father lying dead on the floor. Oh, my God.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
그다음 마가렛한테.
Can you tell me what Mr. Dunn was doing upon the day of his death?
I can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, He came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in his way.
사망 시각.
And that was the last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to 11, when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass house.
I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
I was recording an experiment for my thesis. I only stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
음성기록.
You say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Certainly. Please do. You will find it in the laboratory. It is number 320.
Thank you, miss.
Everyone has gone, Holmes. The way is clear.
F. 포잘 들이마시고. 잠깐 다시 겹친 것 같은데. 잠깐만. 포잘 들이마시고. 맞아 나왔다.
When Montague Dunn was standing close by the plants, the caterpillars were released and caused the deadly spores to activate. Panicking, and likely already half asphyxiated, Montague Dunn started back and knocked over the bust. He rushed to the door, but it was locked. He had to force it open with his shoulder. We already know the outcome. Montague Dunn collapsed and died not far from the pool. Well, it is time to perform our experiment on the ventilation system. The caterpillars could only fall from the ventilation duct. Our caterpillars are in place. I'll activate the ventilation system so that they fall down. Watson, stay here and observe.
All right, Holmes.
가자. T. 그냥 가면 되겠지 뭐. 켜.
The power is
전원
on.
켜고.
The engine
시동.
cannot be started.
이 끄고.
The engine has started.
그 다음 켜.
The ventilation system is working.
방위장치 한번 진짜 고시기 하네. 문 열어서
Excellent.
활성화.
This ventilation fan is working. Let us see if I can activate the other one.
아니 말고 이거
From here, we are unable to see the This is one of...
다음에 일로 갑시다. 열어주고 여기 일성아
Perfect. Now I just need to find Watson to check the result.
It works perfectly, Holmes. Bravo. Now, if you could just help me to get rid of these caterpillars.
Perfect.
기억기만 안 돼. 왜?
Now we know how the murder of Montague Dunn was carried out, by activating both Albert's and Mr. Hamish's fans.
But only from Mr. Hamish's workplace would it be possible to see when Montague Dunn entered the Colonial Collection Room.
침이란 게 합쳐졌지? 해미씨의 범행이라 체포.
Let's go to Scotland Yard.
경찰국. 잠깐만, 내가 근데 널 찾는 거 있나? 경험 부족하고 전공. 병질이 있지? 잠깐만. 경찰서 갑시다. 여기있지.
Inspector, I believe that Martin Hamish is guilty of the murder of Montague Dunn.
Aha! I knew it. I'll send the lads around to arrest him.
역시나
Very good.
그랬군요.
I shall wait to hear from you. Inspector, I came here as quickly as I could.
Martin Hamish is in the large glass house. There's no need to hurry.
기다려봐.
Colonial. Here
조사.
it is. Cylinder.
그래, 안 한 게 몇 개 있는 것 같아.
These plants, classified as shrubs or grasses, have adapted to their arid environment due to a system of underground roots.
This recording seems very long. It is unnecessary to listen to all of it. Miss White was in the laboratory, as she told us.
갑시다. 온실. 오, 쉣.
Holmes, my God!
Yes, we found him like that.
Our messing around with the ventilation system didn't go unnoticed. Mr. Hamish realized that we knew.
Inspector, could you arrange the body, please? I should like to examine it.
모험 편지 지옥 같은 싸움을 살게 되었다. 견디기 힘들어졌다. 모태유도는 죽어 마땅했지만 손에 피가 묻힌 스스로를 용서할 수가 없다. 헤미시 일과는 항상 비극적인 상황이 희생양일 뿐이었다. 나 역시 마찬가지였고 지금 이 자리에서 이때까지의 일을 속죄하고자 한다.
The mark around the neck is very visible. He died instantly.
발.
Holmes,
왼쪽 발.
his left shoe is unique. This anomaly is often a characteristic of...
A club foot. Bravo, Watson. That is the key element of this case.
B. 내 완전. 아니야, 단독 보면 아니야. 안 그래. 혼자서 못하지. 쫄쫄쫄 거리는데. 뭔가 얘기.
Something about this rings very oddly.
Why do you say that, Mr. Holmes?
Why? Because of Mr. Hamish's club foot. Oh, I deserve to be kicked from here to Charing Cross. I should have noticed it.
But, Mr. Holmes, I can't see why.
No, I don't suppose you do. You must recall that Mr. Dunn was locked inside the Colonial Collection Room by the murderer. If it was Mr. Hamish, he would have had to run up to his workplace to trigger the fan situated above it, taking into consideration the condition of his foot.
Well, it is still possible.
Perhaps, but it is rather strange that such a person as Mr. Hamish decided to base his plan on the speed of his gait.
You mean to say that somebody helped him?
So the suicide is questionable?
Correct. Mr. Hamish accuses only himself in his letter, and so the investigation stops.
Possibly an accomplice, then? That idea had not occurred to me, Mr. Holmes.
I have another idea, Inspector. Thanks to the testimony that we have collected, we are able to rebuild the events as they took place that day.
With a timeline, such as we did in the Jack the Ripper case.
Precisely.
The map at the entrance of Kew Gardens should help us with our timeline.
Let us analyze the facts and statements so that we may recreate the events of that morning.
분 이렇게 10시경에 되어 있다고. 읽고 10시 30분 동 그냥 이렇게인가? 뭐야? 깃돌을 향했다. 10분 후. 아, 이게 여기구나. 뭔데? 깃돌로 향했다. 그로부터 10분 후 몬테그더는 네꼬 마틴 혼자 보관실로 왔다고? 뭐지? 야 잠깐만. 이 맞고 뭔가 이거네. 시풍경. 뭐야? 종자 보관실 돌아왔고.
Let us summarize.
됐다.
Montague Dunn was poisoned inside the Colonial Collection Room. He forced open the door, which means that someone locked him inside there at 10:20. Martin Hamish was last seen at 10:10. This means that he has approximately 10 minutes to lock the door of the Colonial Collection Room. Given that he was club-footed, it is doubtful. Albert also has 10 minutes to lock the door of the Colonial Collection Room, which is quite enough time. Miss White was last seen at 10 o'clock, which means that she had approximately 20 minutes to lock the door. More than enough time. Perfect, Watson. Now, let us ascertain who assisted Martin Hamish in killing Montague Dunn.
알버트는 안 깎고. 뭐가 알아? 뭐고? 그래, 화이트네, 그래. 그 뭐지? 몬테규 던한테 그게 좀 있었잖아. 빚이 좀 있잖아. 그리고 독립한다니까 빨리 가버려라고 그런 편지를 받았고. 감정이 맞췄다. 이거네. 교탄. 근데 어디로 간 거지?
But Holmes, how can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
신문에
It is
없었구나.
obvious, Watson. Just use your brain.
I am using it. I do use it.
Now that the rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces of her implication. After the suicide of her accomplice, there is one final trace remaining: the deadly plants of the Divine Syndicate. She will be there.
Very good. Shall we go?
Just one moment. Now listen to me, Watson. I shall see her alone. You will conceal yourself behind her, quietly.
Whatever are you planning?
Nothing spectacular. The impulses of women have always been a mystery to me. But she is a bold one, and so we must be cautious.
All right. You can count on me, Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, good day to you.
You do not seem surprised, Miss White.
Well, I was expecting you.
Not for too long, I believe. So please tell me, as it is still unclear, who planned the murder? Was it you?
You were wrong, Mr. Holmes.
It was Martin Hamish, then. You managed to convince him to take on a more prominent role.
You could not be further from the truth.
You think that you can fool me?
You don't care what I think.
It is difficult to care about someone who is capable of pushing a man to his suicide. It is over, Miss White. The police will be here any minute.
Over, perhaps. One moment you were here, and the next, you were on the other side.
The other side? No! Stop!
No, stop. W.
I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
W.
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further. Don't try to stop me.
Watson, 지금이야.
Stop this
덮쳐.
foolishness. You cannot truly want to
빨리 덮쳐, 저거.
No,
죽으려 한다, 저거.
it's too late.
턱.
Well done, Watson. She was not faking.
Miss White, you have no right to take your own life.
Dr. Watson? Did you just save me? Or worse?
오케이. 마가렛 화이트는 그다음부터 범죄를 저지를 위험한 여성이자 몬테기 던에게서 금전적 지원을 받을 수 없다는 사실 깨달은 그녀는 알버트 던 이용을 마음먹고 마틴 해미스는 결국 자살하기 이르렀다. 보초처벌을 받아 마땅하다. 예. 법의 수호자. 하도 이거 처벌한다로 가가지고 이걸로 변했어. 계속하기. 이거를 전에 다 깨가지고 원래는 6장을 넘어가야 되는데 마지막 장으로 끝내서 없어 지금. 아이고. 야 이거 한 1시간 반 정도 그 안쪽으로 대충 가는데